I still say, you know.
Why? Put it on.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes. It's just 7 o'clock now. We'll give everybody a couple extra minutes to join us.
We can't, obviously, we can't have the unfortunately in there again because the last two hires were disasters.
Is that the guy? Because I need to look at this.
Give everybody one more minute. 7:02. I'll get started at 7:03. All right, I'm going to get going here. Thanks to Gabby Takis from USA Curling staff, who's moderating here tonight. I'll remind everybody that we do record these sessions, and it will be available on our YouTube channel later. So just a heads up that we do record, and It will be available. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I understand there's some kind of major college football game tonight. My wife is actually a TCU grad, so we moved the meeting up a little bit. I apologize to people on the West Coast, but we wanted to get a little more space from that game. I want to start just by addressing one part of my email last week that caused a lot of concern. And I just want to say I regret the way I chose to express my opinion on Regions joining on the GNCC and clubs. I did it in a way that was inflammatory. That's certainly not helpful right now, and I regret that. And I apologize, and I'll own it, and I'll continue to work to do better on that front. I am trying to be as candid and open as possible, but that clearly wasn't my best moment. And unfortunately, it sort of obscured a lot of good things that we're doing, and hopefully people noticed in the rest of the email. That said, I do think Regions, no matter what their association is with us, I think they have an important role to play when it comes to growing our game. And I think that when they are in areas that make geographic sense, we see good things, just like we saw with the MOPAC Club Nationals playdown this past weekend, where they had 18 men's teams and 8 women's teams. I think strong regions are important, and they can build a sense of community that maybe the national organization, just because of the scope of our work, can't do as well. So with that, though, I will quickly, just if you didn't see the email, recap some of the things we've been up to. We have the Governance 4.0 committee has started their work, the ad hoc committee chaired by Mark Beyer. We have a new the Athlete Health and Safety Working Group has formulated a new response and resolution policy, among other steps, now that reports when Safe Sport doesn't claim jurisdiction will go to the Judicial Committee and an outside independent reviewer. The CEO, whoever the CEO might be, has been removed from that process. You can find out more about that on the website and in news posts and in our new response and resolution section. We started an Arena Club working group led by Jane Sharp out of Pinelands. We've run some good events. We're excited about the men's and women's nationals ahead of us at the Denver Coliseum, and the U18 nationals just coming up this immediate weekend at Rock Creek Curling in Lafayette, Colorado. We scheduled we had one unconscious bias training session so far for board and staff. We have another one scheduled for February. So I think that was helpful, and thanks to Deb Martin for making that happen. I did touch in the email on host sites. We do have a host site for Club Nationals now, and I'm grateful to the Wausau Curling Club in Wausau, Wisconsin for stepping up on that. We're continuing to try to improve everything we do. The mantra at our organization right now is that we can do everything better. Clearly, I can probably craft emails better, so I'll log that in my to-do list. But we'll keep working to improve things. And, I'm committed to doing these town halls to get feedback, good and bad. So with that, I'll throw it open to the group that's joined us tonight.
Dean, we got one question in the chat early on. It
Oh,
said,
great.
for U.S. Nationals, are there plans for advertising and promoting the event in Denver? I haven't heard anything on the radio. Well,
we just got off a meeting with the Denver Sports Commission and Visit Denver. It was a great meeting where we talked about a lot of different things we're going to be doing. They suggested actually a media day on February 4th, right before the event. So yeah, we'll be out in it's a bit of a sprint to it at this point, but we will be out trying to get our message out as much as possible. There's some signage up around. There's signage at the Coliseum, and we hope to have more of that. I just talked to them about how much earned media we could get. So we have some media advisories planned And we're going to try to leverage both our athletes, and I'll certainly be out there ready to talk to anyone about the event. So it's full speed ahead on that. And I'm grateful, by the way, to the two Denver area clubs, Rock Creek and the Denver Curling Club, for all their support so far. We have a volunteer sign up, and we're going to have curling gurus in the stands to explain the game, which is something we're pretty excited about. And we're just very pleased to see the support we've received from the Denver curling community. So I can't see. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let Gabby tell me whose hands up, and we'll cue them up.
Yeah, it's just chat for now. Another question from Jonathan. Any updates from the Governance 4.0 committee?
Yeah, sure. So the first meeting was last week. It's chaired by Mark Beyer. It's a big committee because it is supposed to represent all clubs, from arena clubs to small clubs to larger dedicated ice clubs to people from around the country. So the first step Mark did as a chair was he broke that committee into smaller groups, and they're each going to work on a version of a new membership model and come together to discuss at the next meeting, those different models that they've developed. We, as an organization, I had drafted one membership model that I thought, an individual membership, club membership model that changes things entirely, gets rid of compliance, etc. I shared that with the group, not to try to steer them in that direction, but just as a starting point, and that's how it was presented, just a way to inform the discussion. But I'm excited to see, every time I've spoken about a membership model to anyone, I've been excited to hear new ideas and fresh thinking that I think could be really great. I think Jane is suggesting, if you're interested in being involved with the Arena Club development, connect with Jane Sharp. If you don't have Jane's contact info, feel free to email one of us at USA Curling, and we'll connect you there. There's Jane's put her email in the chat. Yeah, the Western Stock Show is right before our event at the national championship. Bo is asking, is the Governance 4.0 committee discussing issues other than membership models? I think they're closely correlated, Bo. I think that they don't happen in isolation. So I think as you get into looking at a new membership model, that leads to changes throughout the governance process. I think to start, Mark wants to keep the scope sort of small and on the membership model, so the committee has some focus to begin, but obviously it'll lead to other things related to governance. Jacob Fellman, any updates for the junior and college programs? We do have a site for college nationals. They're going to be in Bowling Green, and that was great. Much appreciation to Bowling Green for stepping up. There was a very specific weekend that the college curlers is ideal for most of them. So that's much appreciated. That's in March 10th to 12th. In terms of junior and college programs, we have certainly 2 national championships coming up, the U18s and the U21s. We do have a junior program guide we can share with any club that's interested. And we're talking all the time about ways we can improve and help clubs with junior programs. Jonathan Lee, any plans or timeline on resuming grant programs for curling clubs? I want to resume that at the start of next season, Jonathan, or at the start of our next fiscal year here. So I'm hopeful we can do that. I think we can, but it's a good question and certainly something I'd like us to do again. Something we need to get back in the business of doing, quite frankly. Al's asking if anything's happened with the arena committee in the last month. Well, they've met twice, Al. I think it's a great group. And there's, 2 meetings, and they're dividing up some of the tasks and meeting next week, as Jane just posted in the chat. Yeah, Bo's asking about the foundation, and I'll be as candid as possible here, Bo. They should be part of the new foundation. When I started, I inherited the foundation in its current state. And frankly, I wasn't exactly sure, what it was supposed to be doing. So we did sort of slow the launch of that. I think really the foundation should be the overarching piece when it comes to donors. But we are going to look at that more closely in the months ahead. It's not delayed due to budget concerns. Certainly, we'd love to have donors would help in a lot of ways. But I think for me, I didn't quite understand the focus of it. So we're revisiting things that we had used in the past as well, such as the Granite Society. I'll be perfectly frank too. Our director of the foundation, Janet Dalton, is leaving the organization, which she's obviously the last few months have not been a great time to be asking for money for USA Curling. So she has another opportunity in her hometown in Park City. She's been great and is helping us in any transition phase. We do have a great fundraiser plan for the wheelchair athletes in Hartford, Connecticut this January. So continuing to do work there, but definitely needs some new focus, and we'll probably be connecting with people in the curling world to help shape that. Ryan Olson, USA Curling. Yes, WUGS in Lake Placid. We need to do more on that. Quite frankly, we'll be starting that now. I know that the event gets underway. We've got 2 great teams there, and we will be working hard to promote it as much as we can. It's not technically our event, but it certainly matters to us. It's a great event, and we want to support the players that are there in the event itself. Jonathan Lee, any updates on 5U Nationals? I think we announced that quite a while ago, but it's going to be in Hibbing, Minnesota. And I think I'd have to double check, but I think that it starts on April 19th up there. So Hibbing, Minnesota, if you've never been to Hibbing, it's a great old legacy club. And at the end of their season, they do a famous last chance bonspiel. So if you happen to make it to the USA Curling 5 and Under Nationals, I'd suggest you consider playing in both events. It's quite a curling experience in Hibbing. Eligibility status for competing in the college national championships. We're not requiring college curlers to be a member of a USA Curling member club. They do have to have a USA Curling college membership. We're trying to accommodate as many college curlers as we can. So we have told people that. I think I put that in the Discord channel. I certainly put in about how that we were going to accept results from events no matter what clubs they happened at. I'm catching up here in the chat. Joe's asking about how there's 200,000 earmarked for donations in the budget. What's the thermometer reading on that right now? Obviously, Joe, I think we have work to do there. We'll continue to work. I think there's other things besides other revenue streams we want to explore as well. So we're working hard on those fronts. We're going to start selling Columbia USA Curling branded apparel. We're going to have that in Denver at the men's and women's nationals, and we're going to start selling that online. Obviously, this has not been a great climate for finding donors. I don't think it's rocket science to figure that out, but we do have people who are generous to USA Curling, and we are getting some donations in. Mark, on the competitions at usacurling.org. For one thing, I think it's usacurling.org, not USA Curl. But if you have a request for ruling, I would suggest doubling down. I'm pretty sure that gets reviewed, but it should be. But if you have a request for ruling, send it to add myself or Aaron Kaler or anybody else. The entire staff's emails are on website. Jonathan Lee, committee to review playdown system and fees for future seasons. This was something I talked about quite a bit at the Wisconsin Club Nationals playdowns. It needs to be revisited and needs to be redone. That's probably a good thing for a working group. But yeah, the regional playdowns that remain, which now are Club Nationals, Mixed Fours, U18s, and depending on how regions determine them, Arena Nationals. But the way fees and the system was is outdated, frankly, and it originated from when all our championships ran through regional playdowns. So I think we need to get some more equity across all the routes to our national championships. So we'll be reviewing that, and it certainly would make sense for that to be a working group as well. There's some financial things to look at, and then also just matters of fairness. But I went to the Wisconsin Club National Playdowns in Wauwatosa. I spent a couple hours there when I was at the Wheelchair Mixed Doubles Nationals in Kettle Moraine, and talked to a lot of people about that. And I guess what I'll tell you is message heard. It had been brought up internally, but I'd agree with all of you. I think it needs to be changed, so we will be doing that. Bo's asking about when will the regional breakdown of the board be determined and will individual members be represented? Well, I don't think that the members' assembly will go away, Bo, but I think we'll have to wait and see what the work of that committee produces. There's obviously varying voices on that. I think if the people who are on it have been listed, so feel free to reach out to them. I'm confident they'll all do great work, and I'm confident we'll find a better model. Rick Tucker says, is USA Curling a 501c3 charitable organization? It is. You can donate directly on our website. There's a donate button, Rick. I'm certainly not going to discourage you from that. But if you have issues with that, feel free to reach out to me directly if we need to sort something else out and you're interested in donating. But we are a 501c3. Mark asked, are there any thoughts to redraw the regions and subsequently which region your clubs may fall under? I'll tread carefully here, Mark, in terms of regions, but I certainly think that's up for debate. What constitutes a region, what a region is within the organization. I think that's all up for debate. One reason the ad hoc committee focused on the membership model early is that I think that's at the heart of the matter. I think these other things will fall out of that. So I think there should be thought given to that, though, Mark. It's a good point, and we'll capture that question. And I'm an ex officio member of the committee, of the ad hoc committee, so I attend meetings, but don't actually, the committee's working independently, but I'll share that thought with them. Joe's Calabrese says, with you admitting the GNCC portion of your last email wasn't maybe the best communication, any thought to sending a corrected message to the membership or some sort of social media message? Sure, Joe. I'm happy to send any more, apologies or direct people to this so they can hear my opening statement on that. I'm not progress, not perfection, I guess, is something I'm working on. And I think we're getting a lot of things right at USA Curling right now. And our team is working hard. We've got volunteers that are doing incredible work on our behalf, and we have a great directors, volunteers, staff, all trying to pitch in. So if anything, I was disappointed in myself because I clouded some of the good work that's been done. Michael from out in Oakland, where they just had that great Club Nationals playdown. One of the high and recurring costs for DI clubs is sharpening scraper blades and shipping them to Canada. When finances allow, could we subsidize a U.S.-centered blade sharpening business, or is USA Curling pretty hands-off when it comes to these things? You know what, Michael, I'll be honest, I haven't thought about subsidizing a U.S.-centered blade business. I would certainly be interested, and I think the organization would, in helping one develop. You know, it's such a, I'll be honest, I know how specialized that is and how particular ice techs are about the blade sharpening. And I know that, you know, some clubs have tried to have them sharpen in the US, not send them to Canada. But, you know, maybe that's a great opportunity for someone that we'd certainly be, you know, willing to support, even if it meant maybe early we're subsidizing part of those costs, something we can consider. Michael's actually on the ad hoc committee as well, so I appreciate all the work he's doing on behalf of USA Curling. Daniel, are there any updates to the new governance of college curling and how it will change in the future? Well, I think that's best left to the current college curling leaders, Daniel, to be honest. You know, when Gordon McLean resigned after the town hall we did, I reached out to the college curlers, and I said, well, you know, I need some ideas on points of contact, and I know they're working pretty hard on soliciting advice and feedback from the college curlers to move towards a different structure or some sort of structure that can move from year to year. So certainly involved and ready to be helpful, but I think it's best if it comes from the college curlers. And I don't want that to seem like I'm not supportive of college curling. I really am. It's just that I also know there's a lot of people involved right now who've put a lot of time in it. Plate iron registrations were about 350 for this year across all regions. That is way under 10% of total membership. These events seem to take up a lot of time discussion at all levels. What are the other draws to bring in clubs where members only play once or twice a week with no desire to compete in playdowns? Well, there's 2 points to that, James. I think, first of all, as a national organization, we have an obligation to run great national championships. We run 17 different national championships. It is going to be an important focus for us. We run national championships for curlers of all skill levels. You know, that doesn't mean that we are not working on ways to help clubs with development. We have materials. We are going to start a traveling pro series where some of our athletes, you know, will go out to clubs and run skills clinics. That can be a revenue source for the athlete and a way for clubs to, you know, to get access to those players and their understanding of the game. I think that's an ongoing debate. What's the draw for clubs? I think in my email I outlined some of the things we're doing. You know, whether it's offering web streaming of our championships. I think even once or twice a week curlers like that. I think it is important to have a national organization or national and international voice for, you know, advocates for curling within the Olympic and Paralympic movement. You know, we're never going to be probably able to, with our resources, be able to directly be involved with every club in the United States. We have 8 staff on the business side. We work pretty hard, but I do think we need to continue to provide more services. We want to provide this content platform within Sport 80. We're working hard on that. We are going to continue to provide safe sport services and athlete health and safety measures. That can be challenging. That takes up a lot of time. If we can, you know, get things moving along here through this championship season, we want to return our focus to DEI efforts. So, you know, those are some of the things when it comes to specific benefits. You know, I think that's up to every member. Do members, you know, want to support the organization that's a voice for the sport they love? Or, you know, do we offer services that they appreciate? And we're going to keep trying to do that, and we're going to keep, do the best job we can on that. But as a national organization, we are also going to deliver great championships, be a voice for the sport at the Olympic and Paralympic levels. Corey from Buffalo, I thoroughly enjoyed the level 1, level 2. I think those are instructor courses, but I feel like I still left knowing about 25% of what the instructors know. Is there any discussion of creating a higher level course, maybe over multiple days? Well, the instructor levels, I think, Corey, are pretty established. What we are doing is developing a coaching pathway, and we hope to launch at least the first part of that fairly quickly. But coaching pathways so that people which can lead to more understanding of the game and coaching itself. I think those would probably be the higher level courses you might be looking for. How many of those are multiple day sessions? I'm not sure. I'm sure that the level 1 coaching, the initial coaching level, will be online. But yeah, we can offer a lot more on that than we do, Corey. I'm not going to say that we have enough right now, so we'll continue to work and hopefully provide more, because I know there's an appetite for it out there, and we have for too many years not produced what we should have on that front. There's a flurry of questions here, so I feel like I've been talking nonstop. So, and not, it's all been in chat. This is the easiest question I got tonight. Mark is asking if they sell beer at the national championships. Well, I know we will in Denver, so I think it's, we will at that event for sure. So, how would you rate the use of Sport 80? This is from Nancy. She says, I feel that many people have not created accounts and then send an email. Well, it's not meant for only competitive curlers. It is really intended to be a robust database for us, for one thing, and a way for people to develop a profile so they can see, what courses they've taken, certifications they've attained. I've never backed away from the fact that we, fumbled the launch of it whenever that happened. How many years ago? I guess it was sometime in 2020. But I give full credit to Jenna Brucheski and Gabby Takis, who are working to make that platform more valuable for our members. It's definitely not only for competitive curlers. There's officiating certifications in there now. There's instructor certifications. And obviously, if the new membership model involves some sort of individual membership, that platform will become more important. Rebecca, I'd love to see an instructional video that identifies what we can look at during video analysis, scenarios of common habits and recommendations for fixing them. I agree. That would be a great thing for us to have there. It could help me. So yeah, we'll put that in our queue of tasks. One thing our focus, right now is we have championship season, and we want to make sure those championships are up to the highest standards. And then we do have an off season when a lot of these things we have a little more time to develop them. So I'm happy to have all these ideas. We are. Andy Turner from Columbus mentioning a problem that's come up in my conversations with other people, in that, yeah, we're driving new membership, but a lot of some clubs are maxed out membership wise, which I guess is a good problem for us to have, but also points, Andy, Andy, you point out quite accurately here that there needs to be development of more facilities. And, we want to be part of that. We are working to develop a facility with at Viking Lakes with our partners there. That would be helpful, but we need to figure out a path to get more facilities in more markets, especially some of the major ones where clubs fill up right away. I think one of the things there is just trying to explore different models. Certainly we see a model like T-Line in Nashville as one model. Rock Creek Curling is another model. Those are private enterprises. And I think if we can show that those private enterprise models can return value to the people who invest in them or run them, that might help facilitate a lot more, building of clubs. It's not an easy thing to get a curling facility built. It's definitely challenging, as anybody who's made the move from arena ice to dedicated ice knows. So we'll continue to do all we can to help that process and get more facilities out there. I agree, Joe. Limited staff resources. That's one thing we want to do on this content platform is crowdsource a lot of materials. There's a lot of good things out there. I don't think we need to be the authors of everything. So yeah, we're definitely agree with you there. We don't have the staff to put everything together. It certainly doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying to do a number of things ourselves, but the more we can leverage the curling community, the better. Ice Tech programs, Kevin, I spoke with Scott Arnold from the World Curling Federation just last week. We're going to align our Ice Tech training with the World Curling Federation, and we're hoping to work with them on a program towards the end of this curling season, a multi-day program that will involve Ice Tech education training, training the trainer is how Scott talks about it. But I know Sean Olson, our head Ice Tech, he wants to align with what they're doing at the WCF. And that's a perfect example of there's a resource that we need to use and put that in place because they have a pretty good program already. Dan, I know about your plan to put Dan O'Toole from Atlanta, your plan to put more facilities in more places. I think it's a good one. I think it needs funding. So funding is always the biggest issue with these things. But I think if we can prove some models that work, that I think we can get more facilities built more quickly. Paul from Charleston's asking, what do you want from USA Curling to do for grassroots? I ask people that all the time, and I'd be happy here if in chat or separately you want to say to me exactly what you want us to do for you. I'm thrilled to hear it because I'm not going to say that myself or anyone else has all the answers. So share your ideas about what you would like us to do. So I think that's a good question, Paul, and one that we should continually ask. I know Brad Whitlock from Curl Vegas in the first town hall suggested I send out an email that asks club presidents the 3 things they would most like the 3 most pressing issues. And I was actually just reviewing my notes from that town hall, and I should have sent that out earlier, but I haven't. But that might be one good source. But we also want to hear from members. We recognize that there can be differences between members and club leadership. So anybody who wants to share ideas, like I said, emails are probably the best way right now. We have emails, staff emails on our website. Tony's asking about the mixed doubles nationals field. Tony, we're just waiting on Curling Zone and the WCF team rankings to be finalized. Phil Drobnik was on the phone today with them trying to get the final answers, but we're just, as soon as that's available, we will we'll have the mixed doubles nationals field out. It gets a little tight towards from 14 through 16, as you probably know. Al's from Salt Lake City, right, Al? Yeah, we need tools. You need tools on how to run your club. That's one of the things that came out of the Arena Club Working Group. We talked about, I've been in those meetings, and as they were talking about different things they can do in the Arena Club setting to make the whole process easier. And I said, well, they're sort of like Arena Club hacks, which seems fun at first, but might be sort of confusing considering we have hacks in curling. But yeah, those are things that, we can help provide. And it's content we need to get out there and share as much as we can. Don't disagree. interesting to see Andy. Andy was on the Broomstones membership committee for years, and we struggled to get 10 to 20 people at our open houses. And then everything changed with the Olympics. Now, of course, Broomstones is at capacity and has a fairly large waiting list. Yeah, I think that's true, Andy. I think there's been some exciting things happen in curling. I think if we can all get back to working and being on the same same page, I think that would be, I think the sport's in a good place. I think, we can sometimes trip over ourselves in curling, but we have popularity, we have more recognition. I don't know, I imagine people on this call have experienced that, but you don't have to explain the sport as much as you did 10, 12 years ago when people ask you what you'd love to do. So we were just on a call with the Visit Denver folks, and their excitement for curling is high. So I think we just need to keep pushing and working together. Yeah, the WCF does have a coaching instruction curriculum, DJ. I think we'd like to have our own there, but certainly parts of that might be picked up. Coaching's a little different than maybe ice making because each country might have its own take on it. So I think there's some value to us having our own. Bo asks, would it be possible to put more information, training instructor modules on the site for members? That's coming, Bo. I know I say that in a lot of times, but it is on the way. And I agree. It's a game. He says it's a game changer for U.S. soccer. Obviously a large organization, but they have some terrific stuff in terms of coaching pathways. The content platform that we're going to be using not the white label version of it, but the free version to start and hopefully move to white label. But USA Baseball uses it, and they support, and I've spoken to USA Baseball quite a bit about it and how they get training modules, instruction videos up there. And that is coming. We have things set up for that. We want to populate them and make sure it works well before we launch it. Hey, Al, sorry, it's Ogden, not Salt Lake City. I should have gotten that, the Ogden Oval. Jane saying the Arena Club group is working on locating arena clubs regardless of affiliation. And the Jane's group is terrific. If you know any of the people on it, they're a great bunch and really committed. So I expect them to have, asking what clubs want would be great to include. Yeah, Corey, I think youth-specific coaching and training needs to be part of any coaching curriculum. So that should be included. I mean, I think if you look at someone like soccer or baseball, there's some things there that just are basic to coaching youth in general that we should include and can be, are pretty standardized and we can pick up, and then we should be adding our own curling specific sections. Mike Moore, who's one of our really good junior coaches, is going to be doing a session out at the U18s for coaches. Of course, I know not every coach will be there, but that's something I'm going to sit in on, and hopefully we can make that an online presentation as well. I would encourage coaches and junior curlers to join the junior dev program that has online training and meetings, advice on nutrition. You get people like Olympians like Mike Poplinski and Jessica Schultz with their feedback. And I haven't heard from anybody who's in it who didn't feel like it was a great value. So join that. Usually the call for joining it goes out early in the season. But I think that's developed recently, and it's a good offering that we have, and I hope more people take advantage of it. Brianna, yeah, hi Brianna. I guess I'll see you out in Denver, or the Denver area. I'm not exactly sure when the coaching session will happen. I'd have to double check with Mike. but I can tell you. Anything update on the audit that Brett talked about last month? Read the independent investigation completed on behalf of the board. I don't have an update on that, Joe. I think having an audit to see how we handled that whole situation will be valuable. I think right now, I think it's probably more important to focus on the governance committee. Not saying we can't do both things at once, but that audit isn't underway yet. Mimi's weighed in on when the coaching sessions are. She thinks they're at 4:30 and 8:30 p.m. on Friday. Thanks, Mimi. Al Kersey from the Optimist. Al, I know I owe you a phone call and would love to talk more about how we can partner with Optimist for U18 and leverage those Optimist clubs. So let's take that discussion offline, Al. This is one of the more interesting town halls because everybody's doing the questions in chat. So I feel like I've just been firing off the conversation here. So I hope I'm not sounding too tedious. Yeah, good question, Kelly. She's talking about plan for this year to further, well, for future years to further incentivize hosting regional playdowns. Well, yeah, we need to make it more appealing for clubs to host events. And one of the ways we want to do that is to make the properties themselves actually valuable. So in this year, for instance, we're working with clubs to identify as many revenue opportunities at events as we can. We will have staff at every national championship. Aaron Kaler, our events manager, is actually expecting a baby around the end of February, so he might miss a few, but I'll be at every national championship. We want to make these championships as easy as possible for clubs. That doesn't mean there's not going to be anything for clubs to do, of course, but obviously we didn't do a good enough job of that for decades, I would say. And that's changing this year. But I think what has to happen this year is we have to prove it to the curling community. So we're going to try to be proving to the curling community that we are, doing our best to work with clubs and make these properties and events valuable. Because clearly, as I've said elsewhere, I mean, we need to make that happen so that we have host sites going forward. I mean, I was a club president myself, so I understand the reluctance there, and especially now when you factor in the fact, as I mentioned in my email, that a lot of clubs we can make a significant amount of money from private and corporate events, or our clubs are so full that we're reluctant to give up league nights, etc. So grateful to the clubs that have stepped up this year so far, and we'll be looking at all we can do to make hosting playdowns or not playdowns, but championship events more appealing. I'd agree, Lisa. Yeah, patience is thin on the content, and it would be great to get it up. So understood. It's something a couple things will keep me awake at night. For one, last little while, it was finding host sites. That's another one, the content platform. Thank you. Mimi says from Rock Creek Curling that they have felt well supported this year. So appreciate that, Mimi. You have been a great partner as well. So I'm looking forward to that event. Got a suitcase full of Columbia gear to bring out as well. I think one thing on that content platform, just to say is that we're going to launch it and then continue to improve it. So we'll launch it, get it going, and we'll continue to make it as valuable as possible. I think it's the kind of thing that only gets better over time. live streams of nationals will be on our YouTube channel, which is fairly easy to access. I'd agree it's frustrating that that ESPN shows the Brier. Then I certainly enjoy watching the Brier when it's on the ESPN app, but trying to connect with them to see about how we can get some of our events carried there. That's a bigger media network discussion. But one of the reasons they show the Brier is on ESPN is on the ESPN app is ESPN owns, I think, 20% of TSN in Canada. Corey, I'm not sure about a deal on selling custom club gear as well as USCA gear. I do have a call tomorrow with Columbia, the marketing team at Columbia, to discuss a number of issues. I think for them, it just comes down to, it requires some investment of time and energy on their side. But I'd love it if we could convince them to do that. But they're a great sponsor, and if we can find a way to do that, would love to do it. Guest on revenue sharing models. I think one of the things we've done with and we're going to do going forward is make both the club and the national organization responsible, incentivized to produce revenue. So, and that will help it become more attractive properties. But I agree with you. Whether it's offering revenue guarantees, that so both are incentivized to meet those. There's certainly a different way to do it than just saying, here's the amount of dollars per day that we're going to provide for hosting an event. That's not really a great long-term strategy, and is changing already and needs to change. Yeah, and if Columbia just made clothing for curlers, we are actually not necessarily club specific. The gear they provide to our teams is not what they call inline merchandise, where inline merchandise are the items that they sell at a Dick's Sporting Goods, for instance. So we are going to have some branded inline merchandise, and hopefully some things in that I think we have some items that will work for curling, that would be good for curling. But that's a discussion with them. And we sort of have to prove the value of the market. So one of the reasons that I'm hopeful that we can do pretty well selling Columbia branded, USA Curling branded Columbia gear is to sort of help prove that market is out there, and curlers will buy Columbia gear. Yeah, I get frustrated every time I see axe throwing in cornhole on ESPN. I get angry. So I agree with you. One thing those two sports have is the production is a lot less expensive, right? So that's one reason they're on there. So, well, nationals other than the 5 in the email have live streams. Though the 5 in the email are the ones that we're doing with Curling Stadium. That doesn't mean that other venues may not find a way to produce a live stream themselves, but those are the ones where we're spending the money to produce professional live streams. So the audit that Barb brings up, yeah, I mean, I think it's an overall audit of how the organization handled the situation and what we can do to be better next time. I don't mean to say it's not a priority. It is. It's just a number of things we have going on. Bo, I think this would be an internal audit where we just say, what were the series of events? How were decisions made? What could we do better next time to manage the whole situation better? Well, hey, Jeremy Malrich there's one great female ice maker, Jeremy, and that's Lauren. Lauren Rich, she's actually at the WUGS right now. She did a great presentation at the last Ice Tech Summit on diversity and ice tech in ice making. I think Lauren actually, but Lauren Rich is one female ice maker. I think it's a personally, I think it's a great field for women. And I know that Lauren has become a pretty critical part of Sean's crew. So yeah, I don't know if it's weird there aren't many women ice makers, but I think one of the things that Lauren touched on in her presentation, and it's probably worth having that presentation for ice techs all over, but one of the things she touched on was just that, how welcoming an ice crew at a club might be. And we may have to do some work there to educate ice crews on being welcoming to everyone. But, I'm also reluctant to ask too much of a group that already is putting in a ton of hours usually, and how vital they are to the club. But Lauren's fantastic. And a great ice tech. And saying that the man in charge in Portland welcomes everyone. So yeah, thanks, Craig, for that. I think a lot of clubs would be happy to have female ice makers. I think sometimes it's like a lot of things, you have to just you have to ask maybe. But we could certainly make sure that it's a path that's available to more females. Sue, you're mentioning the thing about if women aren't picking up the pebble can, then ask around it. I actually think at a lot of clubs, there's this mystery around pebbling that I don't totally understand. I think we should make it more accessible, pebbling in general. Jim says they have a great group of female ice makers in Schenectady too. Thanks, Jim. That's great. And Bo said University of Georgia has scored. Bo, that's no good because my wife's a TCU grad, so that's where I am right now. But yeah, I think I don't think there's any big mystery around pebbling. So I would encourage more clubs to just get people to learn how to pebble. I know I do it at my club. And I used to scrape, and I will say that I was not the best with the scraper. Because I forgot the patterns all the time. But I think my pebbling is top notch. Hey Jim, how many ice makers do you have in Schenectady on your crew in general? Not just females, but how many people making ice? So it's 7:56, and I know, like I said, there's a pretty big football game on, so I'm sure we'll start to lose people. So I'll take questions right to 8. I actually have another meeting at 8:15, so I can't go too far beyond that. Corey's, I'd love to see a survey of clubs about governance to help guide our decisions. How many hire nice? Those are all good thoughts, Corey. And again, some things that we should be crowdsourcing. I know Jeremy's club, the Silicon Valley Club, has done a lot of work on that front and has some good materials. We need to do a better job of sharing all that information. Some of Corey's questions are how many hire an ice maker versus using volunteers. Jim says they have about a dozen ice makers, ice crew volunteers in Schenectady. What percent of curlers curl in multiple leagues? How much does it cost to curl in a league, and so on? Yeah, all information will be valuable to share, and should be shared. Actually, one thing I'd be interested in, just why, the difference in entries in some of our regional playdowns. Some events certainly garner more entries than others. And I think I have some ideas why, but I probably don't have all the answers. Joseph, where do you see this organization in 4 years? Well, I think that's a great question. I think in 4 years, we need to have a few things. I think we need to have more revenue streams so that we're not so reliant on the membership revenue. I think we need to have a broadcast deal so that our sport is being shown on network television. I think those are two things. I think we need to have grown to the point where we have the resources to staff better. One of the things I love is, for instance, USA Swimming, which is obviously a far bigger organization. They have a staff of a team that goes out to throughout the country and is responsible for working with different clubs in different parts of the country. So I think that's something we need to work on. But I think the big goal, the big thing is getting to a point where our membership revenue happens and people want to support the organization and we're earning that support with what we do. And that it's also, we have other revenue streams so we're not as dependent on that member revenue. We are working on a strategic plan. That's definitely something on my radar. So I think that, working on one right now. We don't have an active one. There was one done previously, not by me, but there was one done before. I think we need a better one. Yeah, Joe, I'd agree with you on the Arena Curling Championship was announced far too late. Now, I will say that playdowns for next year could happen anytime between now and November of next year. Nigel Lucas out of Nutmeg's asking me if there's dialogue with Curling Canada. Absolutely. I met with Catherine Henderson for about 4 hours in December, I think, for quite a while. We discussed all the ways we might be able to partner, obviously not on the performance side, but in other ways. And I think I'm hoping that we can announce a couple of things in the next few months that will have people pretty excited. Hi, Marianne. It'll be on the our YouTube channel. The recording, all the recordings of town halls are there. Give us a couple days. Sometimes we got to get the recording and et cetera. But not get it, but it's give us a couple days to get it up. It will be there. If you go under videos on our YouTube channel, you'll see all the town halls. All right, it's 8:01. I'm going to guess it's 7-0 Georgia. Give everybody a couple more minutes to ask a couple more questions. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks to everybody who joined us here. And I will say, I want to thank everybody out there who's really stepped up and offered to help the organization. I have people who are volunteering in all kinds of ways to help us, and it's definitely appreciated. And like I've always said, we're not getting everything right yet, but we'll keep working on it, and always open for feedback and improvement. I mentioned one thing I can do to improve. Geez, Al's asking what do we need? What are the best ways for clubs to better support the USCA? What is it that the USCA expects from us? I will be honest, Al, I haven't thought about that a lot at this point. We've really been focused on, what can we do for our members? So maybe I'll bring that up with you offline, say. So, because, right now our focus is on, what can we do to serve our members better than we have and to continue to improve that. All right, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Somebody says go TCU. yeah, I'm, like I said, I didn't go there, but my wife did, so that's my college football team, so. All right, everybody, thanks for your time tonight. Feel free to follow up with emails, etc. Always happy to have you reach out. Thank you. Bye.